Welcome to the Shopyflow Quick Start tutorial. Shopyflow is the best way to build headless Shopify stores for your Webflow site. No code, no exports, and no trade-offs. Whether this is your first time using Shopyflow or you've used it before, this video is a great place to learn how to set up your own headless Shopify store in Webflow. In this quick start guide, we're going to take this demo store from a static Webflow build and turn it into a real store that users can shop on. We'll first install the headless plugin on Shopify. We'll add the Shopyflow code to our project on Webflow, install the Shopyflow app to our project, and convert our page into dynamic elements that Shopify can communicate with. The first step in the entire process is to install the headless plugin on our Shopify store. This will allow us to easily access the API key we need to enable Shopyflow. Go to the headless page on the Shopify App Store and click Install. Then click Install again. Click Create Storefront under the Headless tab and rename your storefront. This will help you make sense of multiple storefronts. In order for Shopyflow to access all of its capabilities, we'll have to allow all settings under the storefront API permissions. Click the edit icon in the upper right of the panel and check all of the boxes. Unchecking the parent boxes and rechecking is the fastest method. Once all permissions are turned on, save from the banner at the top of the page. Then, click Manage for the storefront API and copy the public access token to your clipboard. Back in the Shopyflow dashboard, in the Stores tab, click Add New Store. Name your store, provide the Shopify domain your store lives on, paste the API key we just copied from the Headless app, and finally, the authorized domain that your Webflow site will be published to. For this demo, I'm going to use the Shopyflow demo store that is provided when you create a Shopyflow account. I'm going to delete the store I just created by clicking on the ellipses under the store selection and clicking Delete. If you want to use the demo store, it's already included for you to learn this process. There's also a Webflow build as a clonable with the styling I'm working with if you'd like to follow along. Next, we'll need to add the Shopyflow code to our project. Without it, Webflow and Shopify have no way of talking to each other. This will bridge the gap between the two. In the Shopyflow admin page, click on the Stores button on the left panel. If you didn't delete the store, you'll see the store you created just a moment ago. In the Code panel, click the Copy icon in the upper right to copy the code to your clipboard. In your Webflow project, in the Pages tab, go to the Custom Code section and paste your code in the Head section and click Save. Now that Webflow and Shopify can send data back and forth, we need to assign Shopify functions to Webflow elements. This is where the Shopyflow extension comes into play. With the Shopyflow extension, we can easily create the necessary Shopify components, or we can convert existing elements into Shopify components. But first, we'll need the Shopyflow app. In Webflow, open the Apps tab in the left panel and click Find an App. You can find the Shopyflow app in the e-commerce and online sales section of the marketplace. Select the app and click Install App. Select the workspace and the project that you want to use the app with and authorize the installation. You'll be directed to the Shopyflow store page we've previously set up, but for now, we have everything we need to convert our designs. Before we dive into using Shopyflow, I want you to take a look at one of the products we're going to be working with. As you can see, this is a standard product offering for a patterned t-shirt. It has a title, a description, a set of images we're using to market the product, size and style variants, along with images for each option and the individual prices. This is where Shopyflow is going to pull the data from to display on the Webflow site. This is our demo store page. It's a static Webflow page that's been built out with all the necessary components we need to show you what Shopyflow can do. Right now, none of these elements have any dynamic functionality. They're all native Webflow elements that you can create yourself. This build is using a slider for the product imagery, headings and paragraphs for the product's descriptions, a form block for the number counter, and standard divs for selectors and buttons. Despite all of the images on the page matching the images from the Shopify backend, none of these are being pulled in dynamically yet. They merely exist for us to help demonstrate what element belongs to what Shopyflow component. There are two methods of making your Webflow build work with Shopyflow. The first option is to create new components from the Shopyflow app panel. Click Add New and select the Buy module. Then, select which product you're adding from your Shopify store and click Copy Element. Now, we can paste on the Webflow canvas and it will automatically include the necessary components to build out your store natively in Webflow. But for the sake of this tutorial, we already have a page designed and built for you. Whichever path you take, the steps will be similar. The second method is to use the Shopyflow conversion feature. Let's convert this into a dynamic build. First, we're going to add a product container to our page that will help Shopyflow identify the Buy module on the page. I'm selecting the Buy module div on the page, and in the Shopyflow app, clicking Convert and then Product Container. When you add or convert a product container to the page, you'll likely get an issue warning from the auditing feature from Shopyflow. The audit makes it easier for you to understand how to solve any missing connections in Shopyflow with little effort. It will list the issues and exactly how to solve them. The two issues must contain an Add to Cart button and select a product. Put simply, the page won't work without an Add to Cart button or a Buy Now button, and none of the dynamic product info can display without a product selected. So let's select a product that we've created from our Shopify admin. In this case, we're setting up the page for a signature cotton blend t-shirt. This is how we're going to convert the rest of our elements on the page. We'll come back to the subproduct for a future component. If you click on the element and open the settings panel, you'll see that Shopyflow added a data attribute of SF-product and our product's ID from Shopify. The data attributes enable Shopyflow to identify what actions belong to what element. But don't worry, if you convert an element and you'd like to remove it, there's a disconnect button at the top of the app. One thing to note, your setup will look and be named differently than this. You'll select the outermost element where the buy components are nested like product images, add to cart button, option select, and more. To solve the other issue, we need to convert our add to cart buttons. Without it, the shopper will have no way of actually buying anything. Let's convert our add to cart divs. We have two buttons on the page, one to add to cart and the other to buy now. We'll apply the add to cart button to the add to cart div. We have three behaviors to choose from. Default adds the item to the cart, buy now sends the user directly to the checkout flow, and redirect will let you redirect them to a custom URL. We can also change out the stock text or the stock exceeded text if their purchases are limited. In this design, we want it to be the default behavior. For the Buy Now button, we want the Buy Now behavior. We won't be converting the cart in this overview, but when you have a Buy module on the page, you also need a cart module to check out with. You can add a new cart the same way as the Buy module, but with an additional option to choose whether you use a pop-up or within the existing page. Just as the rest of the page is designed, we've also designed our cart pop-up. Our recommendation is to create a new cart pop-up through the Add New feature and then styling the elements rather than converting them. So with the Add to Cart buttons connected, if we select the parent Buy module one more time, the audit tool isn't detecting any issues. Now that we have our Buy module, we can convert the rest of the page. It's fairly simple once you understand how to convert a single component. Let's do the product image, for example. Just like with the Buy module, I'll select the image and convert this to a product image. Because the product image is placed in the buy module with the ID for the t-shirt product, the t-shirt image will automatically be populated when we publish. Next, let's look at a pricing unit. In our build, we have two prices for this product. Our left number is the price of the total product. The right number is our compare price. We'll convert the number on the left to a price and include the subproduct. This tells Shopyflow that when the subproduct item is added, in this case, the water bottle upsell at the end, the total price will include that subproduct item. On the right, we'll convert that to a compare price. Our product description is simple. We are converting the description to a product description. For the option selector, we'll select the option selector wrapper element and convert it to an option selector with the option group of style. This signifies that anything inside should be an option value. The audit tool tells us that it must contain option values. Let's convert the option selector values. We'll select the parent of each value and convert it to the corresponding number. You'll notice there's a black ring on the first selected value. This is styled from a combo class with our option selector style called SF-active. When you publish your site, active option selectors will append this class when selected. If you create the combo class yourself, you can style the active state before publishing. Next to the option selector, there's a text label that should tell us what style is selected. We'll convert this to an option displayer to display the active style value. Let's quickly do the same conversion for the size as we did for the styles. We'll convert the option wrapper, then each size. Earlier, we applied a product container to the entire buying module. We're going to do that again, but for the subproduct on the page. This is our upsell, and it'll allow the user to select a style and automatically calculate the final price for us. We'll convert the subproduct div into a product container, select the product we want to upsell, and turn on subproduct item. Now, Shopyflow knows this is a subproduct of the parent product container. We'll apply our conversions just like we did earlier with the title, the product image, our option selector and values, the price, and finally the subproduct add to cart button. It's disguised as a switch right now. When the user clicks the switch to add the item, we want the switch to change styles. Just like with the option selector, this will get a class when the subproduct is added called sf-sub-product-added. By adding this combo class to the same div, the add to cart button is on, aka a switch. Now you can style that add to cart phase. Sometimes a user might want to increase or decrease the quantity of the items they're purchasing. We can simply convert the minus and plus buttons into quantity decreasers and quantity increasers. The quantity itself is a form block with a form inside that contains an input we're calling quantity. This allows the user to type a number into the field or change the quantity from the increaser and decreaser. We'll select the input field itself and convert it to a quantity changer. Finally, our page is completely converted. Let's publish our page and take a look. Shopyflow has pulled in all of the information from the back end of our Shopify store for us. We can see that styles can be selected, size can be changed. Adding the subproduct item changes the price dynamically. Quantity can be increased, decreased, or typed manually, which also changes the final price. This is no longer a static site, but a dynamic page pulling real content from Shopify. We can add our item to the cart and even check out like a real store page. And that's it. We installed Shopify Headless to enable Shopyflow to access the Shopify API. We installed the Shopyflow app to connect our elements to the Shopify system. And we converted our pre-existing Webflow build into a dynamic Shopify store using the app. That's Shopyflow. This tutorial should be enough to get you started converting your Webflow build into a real Shopify store in just minutes. For a more in-depth guide on using Shopyflow with a CMS, e-commerce tracking, or a list of all data attributes, check out the docs section on the Shopyflow website at shopyflow.com.